Hello, curious minds. What if I told you that building a city on Venus, yes, the planet that can melt metal, is actually easier than colonizing Mars? Sounds crazy, right? But 50 kilometers above Venus's fiery surface, there's a sweet spot in the clouds where life could literally float. So why Venus? At first glance, Venus seems like a nightmare. Surface temperatures hotter than a pizza oven, crushing pressure 90 times Earth's, and clouds dripping with deadly sulfuric acid. But here's the twist. About 50 kilometers or about 31 miles above the surface, right in the thick clouds, conditions become surprisingly Earth-like. The air pressure is roughly the same as it is at sea level on Earth. Temperatures hover around a comfortable 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, or about 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. No spacesuits required for heat. Gravity is about 90% of Earth's, which means your bones and muscles won't weaken as fast as they might on Mars. Plus, the thick atmosphere protects you from harmful cosmic radiation. So, floating cities in the clouds of Venus could actually offer a more hospitable home than the dusty plains of Mars. It's like living on a giant floating Earth. Now let's dive deeper into the technology that could make floating cities on Venus a reality. The key to floating above Venus's hellish surface lies in the planet's atmosphere. Unlike Earth's nitrogen-oxygen mix, Venus's atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide, a much denser gas. Because of this, breathable air, which is mostly nitrogen and oxygen, is actually lighter than the surrounding CO2 atmosphere. This means that habitats filled with normal air would naturally float, acting like giant balloons or blimps in the Venusian sky. Imagine a massive zeppelin but filled with breathable air instead of helium. The buoyancy would keep it afloat at around 50 kilometers or about 31 miles where the conditions are much milder. NASA's HAVOC project, High-Altitude Venus Operational Concept, is one of the most serious proposals. It envisions airships floating in the Venusian clouds, initially for exploration and later for permanent habitats. The concept includes robust life support systems, radiation shielding and pressure control, all housed in a massive durable airship structure. But floating isn't the only challenge. The atmosphere is filled with sulfuric acid clouds which can corrode almost anything we normally use. So, materials for the city must be highly resistant to acid corrosion. Scientists are researching advanced coatings like Teflon, ceramics, or specially engineered polymers that can withstand constant acid exposure. Energy is another crucial factor. Fortunately, Venus receives nearly twice as much sunlight as Earth, because it's closer to the sun, and has less atmospheric scattering at the floating city altitude. This means solar panels on the city's surface could generate abundant power. Additionally, the thick atmosphere blocks much of the harmful cosmic radiation, so solar panels and electronics could last longer without damage. Maintaining altitude will require smart engineering too. The floating cities will need systems to adjust buoyancy and position, perhaps by releasing or taking in air or even using small thrusters to stay stable against Venus's strong winds. Because human visits will be risky and expensive, these cities would heavily rely on automation. Advanced robotics and AI could handle maintenance, repairs, and even construction. Imagine fleets of drones constantly monitoring the hull for damage or adjusting the city's altitude and orientation to optimize sunlight exposure and stability. Lastly, the city would need to recycle air, water, and waste efficiently, creating a closed-loop life support system to sustain its inhabitants indefinitely. Scientists are drawing on experiences from the International Space Station and Earth-based biospheres to design these systems. So, while it sounds like science fiction, the technology behind Venusian floating cities is based on solid physics, cutting-edge materials, science, and robotics, bringing humanity closer to living in the clouds of another world. Now you might be thinking, all this sounds amazing, but is it really possible? The truth is, floating cities on Venus aren't just the stuff of science fiction. NASA and other space agencies are seriously exploring these ideas. The HAVOC mission concept we mentioned isn't just a dream, it's a real proposal for future human exploration of Venus's clouds. These missions could start with robotic balloons, then progress to crewed airships that float in the temperate layers of Venus's atmosphere. Scientists see Venus as a potential stepping stone for humanity, a place to learn how to live and work on other worlds without the extreme challenges of surface colonization. Plus, the technology developed for Venus could spin off into innovations here on Earth, from new materials resistant to harsh environments to advanced autonomous systems. So, while floating cities on Venus sound futuristic, they're rooted in real science and engineering, and could be humanity's surprising next frontier in space exploration. So, could floating cities in the clouds of Venus be humanity's next big leap in space exploration? The science and technology are coming together faster than you might think. What do you think? Would you choose to live in a floating city above Venus, or settle on the surface of Mars? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love this deep dive into the tech behind Venusian cities, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep looking up.